Happy Monday. Today we're going to be talking about lack. How do we handle lack? Time, money, auditions. It's me, Charlotte Thornton, with another Mindset Mini. So lack. We can get a perception that there is lack, but it is just a perception. The natural state of the universe is abundant. And lots of people are going, no, Charlotte, no, it's not abundant because I haven't got this and that person hasn't got that. But those are usually man-made constructs and usually to do with distribution. So we actually don't have lack. The natural state of the universe is abundant and expansive, but we sometimes have distribution issues, which means it can appear that there's lack in certain areas. But we want to focus not on lack, because lack brings in more lack. So first thing I want you to start thinking about is creating an abundance diary where you start to observe abundance, because the natural thing is to sort of focus on what we haven't got, what we need to get, haven't got enough auditions or enough time or enough money. So start an abundance diary, whether it's an abundance of rain, an abundance of fireworks, an abundance of apples on an apple tree, abundance of leaves in the park. Focus on the abundance, start an abundance diary and see how that abundance diary and that focus on abundance brings in more abundance. Like could be a friend buys you lunch, or the coffee guy gives you a free coffee. Like all of these things are the universe signaling to you that there is abundance. Now, obviously we know that, as I said, there can be a distribution issue sometimes with what man has created on the planet. So I'm not saying we're not practical. Like we all know there are probably going to be energy shortages, and it's good to prepare. I've got my hot water bottles, my draft excluders, lots of blankets. I'm prepared, but I'm not in a fearful state. And that's mainly what I want to talk about in terms of lack, because this comes up in particular with a lack of auditions or a lack of money, is that we can get into a state of fear. Now, when you're in a state of fear, we lose a lot of our cognitive ability, our ability to think. We get very reactive. It's the limbic part of the brain, which is our very early part of the brain. It's very reactionary and not very evolved. We don't ever want to be living in a state of fear, because that will permanently put you in fight or flight, which knocks out the immune system and all that kind of stuff. So deeply unpleasant to permanently be in fear, but also has a massive impact on your health. So we don't want to be in fear for that reason. But also, especially when it comes to auditions, we want to be completely free and present, and fear gets us sort of trapped in a bit of a cycle of vicious thinking. And we never want to make our decisions from fear. We want to be expanding, like the universe, expansive and abundant. From that place, make our decisions rather than from a lack. So let's imagine you've just got one audition this week. If you imagine, oh my God, it's the first audition I've had for ages, maybe that's true for you, and it feels like there's a lack of auditions. The fear ramps up that we must get this one, because there's not enough. And that sense of lack puts an added pressure on that audition that we just really don't need. So the trick is to sort of, because we don't know the future, you don't know that next week you're not going to have 5 auditions. That we think we're not going to have 5 auditions because we didn't have 5 auditions last week. But I think the last couple of years has taught us that we don't know what's going to come down the line. So I would suggest to play that trick of not assuming this is the only audition that you've got. So it's sort of like, and I've talked about this before, we tell little white lies to ourselves to keep ourselves on track, to keep ourselves motivated, partly because that to say that this is the only audition I'm going to have this year is also a lie. So we always want to tell a story, as their stories are made up, that's more helpful to our progress than one that diminishes it. Because again, others, we don't want to be in a fear state and we don't want to be focused on lack. So when it comes to time, you've got as much time as everybody else in the world. I think I once worked somewhere when it said on a cup, I've got as much hours in the day as Beyonce. Take from that what you will. But the point is, time is an equalizer. No one gets extra time. We're given the time that we're given, and no amount of money or status or class or whatever gets you more time. Time is an equalizer. So stop focusing on lack if you can. Direct your energy to abundance through the abundance diary and start to see that trickle back into other areas of your life. Yes, if you need to prepare financially for difficult times, do it. Do the practical bit, but don't get in a state of fear about it. We want our vibration and our energy to be resonating in abundance. I'm totally okay. I'm totally safe. Everything's happening as it needs to happen, and see how that starts to change things for you. So that's a little thought for me today, this week, on how to handle lack. Go forward and be abundant, and I will see you next week. Bye.